Good morning, I am Aprila Ghising Lama and these are the headlines of the hour. It's the fourth day of the ongoing Tihar festivals. Cows and bulls are being worshipped this morning. Nepal community to observe Mo Puja later this evening. 1 year since earthquake, victims still unrehabilitated. Delays aids leaves displaced families seeking relief. Government assistance for temporary housing yet to reach many. North Korea to back Russia until victory in Ukraine. North Korea accuses the United States and South Korea of plotting nuclear strikes. And Nepal beat Australia by 11 runs in the ongoing international Hong Kong Sixes tournament. Nepal leading the points table in Group B. Nepal to take on Sri Lanka in the quarterfinals later today. It is the fourth day of Tihar. Tihar is being celebrated today by worshipping cows and bulls. The Newar community will be celebrating Mo Puja this evening. Worshipping cows is a sacred practice from the Vedic Sanatan times. Cows are respected as cow mothers by Hindu devotees. Cow is kept as national animal with respect in Nepal. There is also a belief that if Raksha Bandhan is tied to the cow's tail after its worship, it is said that the cow will cross Vaitarpi river to go to heaven after death. Kartik Shukla Pratipta and Yama Panchak, that is the fourth day of Tihar, is also being celebrated by worshipping bulls. The bull used for plowing fields and used for serving for human welfare throughout the year is said to be Goddess Shiva's mount. Likewise, Mo Puja, which also means self-worship, will be performed in the evening by the Newar community. Nepal Police has beefed up monitoring in all 10 entry points of the valley to control supply of firecrackers for Tihar festival. Spokesperson for Nepal Police Dan Bahadur Karki has said security had been beefed up considering the heightened use of firecrackers and also gambling during Tihar festival. Anyone found guilty of distribution or use of firecracker and of gambling will be taken action against. More than 48,000 security personnel have been deployed across the country to maintain security during the festivities, including 5,000 in the valley alone. Now, majority parts of the country is in festive mood with Deusi Bhailo, which is performance of traditional chants and dance being observed in many nooks and corners of cities and villages alike. Groups of people ranging from children to adults reach at doorsteps and perform Deusi Bhailo and exchange wishes. The hosts provide the performers with money and food among others in return. The tradition of Deusi Bhailo roots in Hindu mythology and is believed to be connected to the story of God Vishnu's victory over the demon king Bali. Meanwhile, saying that the essence of traditional Deusi Bhailo had been lost, various organizations in Jhapa kicked off a campaign to bring back the traditional practices. Deusi Bhailo generally begins on Lakshmi Puja and continues till Bhai Tika, which is the final day of Tihar. In our public voice segment, we had asked in several provinces what part of Tihar do they like the most. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
लाग्छ अनि साथीहरुसँग भैली खेल्ने दाइ भाइलाई टिका लगाउने राष्ट्रिय मन पर्छ
अब राम्रो पक्ष भन्दा साथीभाइहरुसँग भैली खेलिन्छ रमाइलो हुन्छ अनि लक्ष्मी पूजा गरिन्छ
त्यो टाढा टाढा हुनु भएको हाम्रो दाइहरु अनि टिका लगाउनलाई भए पनि हाम्रो घरसम्म आउनुहुन्छ
समाजलाई पनि सकारात्मक दिशातिर लगिरहेको छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ
विशेष गरी अब रमाइलो गर्ने झिलिमिली गर्ने दीपावली गर्ने फुलमालाहरु भाइबिनाहरु जम्मा गर्ने विभिन्न थरीका रोटीहरु हाल्ने त्यही गर्दै रमाइलो लाग्छ
भाइ बहिनी बीचको एकता जो एकताले समाजको निरन्तरता र समाजमा सहिष्णुता एकता सद्भाव यही यसको सबैभन्दा उत्कृष्ट हो जस्तो लाग्छ
आफन्तहरुसँग भेट हुने टाढा भएका दाजुभाइ दिदीबहिनीहरु नै एकै ठाउँमा हुनुहुन्छ हैन मखमली फूलको माला सबै देखेर एकदम राम्रो लाग्छ
सबैको घरमा बत्ती बालिन्छ दियो बालिन्छ झिलिमिली यो सबभन्दा मलाई एकदम तिहारको सबभन्दा मन पर्ने भनेकै लक्ष्मी पूजा हो
Today marks 1 year since the earthquake struck Ramidara in Jajarkot, yet many displaced individuals remain unrehabilitated. Not all victims have received government aid intended for temporary housing, and they continue to seek relief and reliance. Last year, in the month of November, 157 people died and hundreds were injured in the 6.4 magnitude earthquake that hit Ramidada in Jajarkot. 48,516 households were affected in Jajarkot, 34,997 in Rukum West, and 4,447 in Salyan. Those who had lost their homes are still living in temporary shelters. In order to build shelters for the earthquake victims, a total of rupees 1.16 million has been given to Jajarkot, 1.22 million to Rukum, and 6.81 million to Salyan, a total of 24.6 million in 2 installments. Earthquake victims who could not get the relief money announced by the government to build a temporary shelter are waiting for safe permanent housing. Even now, the earthquake victims are living in temporary shelters. Even after a year, the government has not been able to arrange safe accommodations. Apathy of the government towards the full implementation of Nepal's constitution has reduced public's trust on change. Although the constitution has ensured 31 fundamental rights for the public, at the lack of implementation, the general public have grown dissatisfied towards leadership. Based on Article 31 of the Constitution, all citizens have right to free basic education. Article 33 confirms one's right to employment, and Article 35 right to free basic health care. Citizens are also not to be denied emergency services over any pretext. However, these fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution have not been implemented.
शिक्षा र स्वास्थ्य छ अब धेरै जसो मानिसहरू विदेशिनु परेको छ नेपालमा भने जस्तो कामहरू पाउँदैन पायो भने पनि त्यो तनखाले चाहिँ खान पुग्दैन हैन बालबच्चाहरुलाई पाल्न पुग्दैन.
Although political parties work together to build the constitution, they have remained indifferent towards the implementation. Article 47 put forth the condition to form necessary laws to implement the fundamental rights within 3 years, but it took more than just 3 years to form all the laws.
आइसकेपछि ऐन नियमावली आइसकेपछि त्यो अनुरूप चाहिँ कार्यान्वयन गर्न तदारकता भएमा यसले जनतामा मौलिक सम्बन्धी जुन प्रावधान छ त्यो अनुसारको उपभोग गर्न पाउँदैन. जनताहरू पनि सहज रूपमा यसलाई सहज रूपमा यसले मौलिक हक चाहिँ प्राप्त गरेको अनुभूति गर्न सक्थे.
राजनीति नै सबभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण, त्यसको एक्सन प्लान सहित त्यसको मूल नीतिमै जबसम्म सुधार गर्न सकिदैन तबसम्म संविधानमा ऐनमा जतिसुकै लेखिए पनि नियममा कानुन गर्ने पनि के नीतिमा चाहिँ कानुन गर्ने त भन्ने कुरा त्यहाँ ल्याप्सेसहरू हुन्छन्.
It's been more than 9 years since the promulgation of the Constitution. This period was expected to build trust among the public towards the state. However, the lack of priority in its implementation has left state structures in a state of disarray and lack of faith among the public. It is time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's today's question: why has the implementation of fundamental rights remained feeble despite the lapse of almost a decade since the promulgation of the Constitution? Your options are A, indifferent leadership, B, lack of capacity, or C, lack of pressure. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. It is time for international news. North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Sun-wei said Pyongyang will stand by Russia until victory in Ukraine, as Washington predicted North Korean troops in Russia's Kursk region will enter the fight against Kyiv in the coming days. At a meeting with Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov after arriving in Moscow, Cho held the very close ties between the armed and special services of the two countries and vows to always remain firmly by Russian comrades until victory day. After weeks of intelligence reports warning that thousands of North Korean troops were heading to Russia, confirmation that Pyongyang soldiers are not only on Russia's soil but have already been deployed in a western region bordering Ukraine have raised fears of a potential escalation in the war triggered by Moscow's full-scale invasion of its neighbor in February 2022. Moscow and Pyongyang have trumpeted their increased defense cooperation since the launch of the invasion, but the Kremlin has neither denied nor directly confirmed the presence of North Korean troops on its soil. Prior to his meeting with Cho, Lavrov told the Turkish daily newspaper Hürriyet that Russophobia from the U.S. administration had brought Russia and the United States to the brink of direct military conflict. Greeting her at Moscow, Lavrov spoke of the very close ties between the two countries' militaries and said this enabled them to solve important security tasks together. Neither referred to statements by the US, NATO, South Korea and Ukraine this week that North Korea has sent some 10,000 troops to Russia. Cho is televised comments and speaking through an interpreter accused the US and South Korea of plotting a nuclear strike against her country. Cho said in Moscow that the situation on the Korean peninsula could become explosive at any moment and therefore North Korea needed to strengthen its nuclear arsenal and readiness to deliver a retaliatory nuclear strike if necessary. Now, World Health Organization, WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus said that Israel's decision to restrict UNRWA's operations contravened Israel's responsibilities. He told a news briefing that this legislation jeopardized the lives and health of all who depend on these essential services. He said in the news briefing that this ban will not make Israel safer. It will only deepen the suffering of the people of Gaza and increase the risk of disease outbreaks. Let's take a look at what he said.
Israel's decision to restrict UNRWA's operations contravenes Israel's obligations and responsibilities and jeopardizes the lives and health of all who depend on these essential services. This ban will not make Israel safer. It will only deepen the suffering of the people of Gaza and increase the risk of disease outbreaks. There is simply no alternative to UNRWA. Tomorrow, the third phase of the polio vaccination campaign is set to begin in the northern part of the Gaza Strip, after it was postponed last week due to intense bombardment, mass evacuation orders, and lack of access or assurance of humanitarian pause. Punishing the whole organization UNRWA is not right. And punishing UNRWA is punishing the people of the occupied territory, Gaza and other places.
Rescue workers scoured piles of concrete and twisted metals for survivors after a roof collapsed at the entrance of a railway station in the Serbian city of Novi Sad, killing at least 13 people. Cranes and bulldozers helped sift through the wreckage alongside dozens of rescuers and construction workers, while medical staff and ambulances waited nearby. The collapse of a 35-meter length of roofing occurred in the city about 70 kilometers northwest of the capital, Belgrade. The dead were pulled from the rubble throughout the afternoon and into the evening. Luka Kosic, who heads the Interior Ministry's Center for Emergency Management, said the rescue operation was complicated by the sheer weight of the concrete and that the operation will continue through the night. And one news channel said the building's reconstruction had been completed this summer, but that the part of the roof which collapsed had not been part of the reconstruction. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.